And now, your financial future with MPPL Financial.
Most people, when they think about retirement readiness, it's all about financial. But we're going to explore 7 key elements of retirement readiness, which involve location and where we want to live, the housing we want both now and as we age, what we're going to do for leisure, for travel, how much time we're going to spend with family, what we're going to do about our health and wellness, and of course, financial is the last topic. The main goal of this exercise is to gain clarity in these 7 areas and get alignment with our spouse if we have one, right? The key here we're going to talk about first, though, is location and where do we want to live, okay? The goal is to understand the why behind this question. Do we want to move somewhere because of the weather, or is it because of the taxes, or is it a combination of multiple things? The point of learning the why is so we can minimize the risks, such as cost and disruptions with having to move multiple times. I use the example of somebody who wants to move to Florida to avoid the taxes on income, right? They might love that benefit, but then when they think about the hot of the summer, they might need a place up north to escape the heat, which could totally offset all the tax benefits. So this is a perfect example of really understanding the full picture of where you're going to move and make the decision from there. All right, the second element we're going to be focusing on is housing. And we have to really be thinking about housing and how things are going to change as we age, right? When we bought our houses and our kids were in the house, or we had all these things going on, we might have had a bigger place than we needed. We might be thinking about downsizing in retirement. This can obviously be a big financial benefit. It can allow us to retire earlier or possibly spend more, or maybe even use that money for our second place down south. But the other thing we have to think about is mobility and how we're going to age in place. For some, this might mean big upgrades to the house, or it might be moving. I think the thing we have to think about now is considering all those options and considering how our age will affect the options that we have. The third element of being retirement readiness is focusing on the leisure time. We're going to have all this newfound time and new opportunities to have fun in retirement. But we got to remember that leisure looks different to different people, and you might have one spouse who really wants to stay around the house, read books, and catch up on their gardening, and another spouse who wants to get out and travel the world. So it's really important when you have a spouse to focus on leisure and making sure there is some alignment. And remember, all leisure doesn't have to be the same when you're in a couple. The other thing we have to remember is that retirement is a magnifier of what we did before retirement. So if we want to live those retirement dreams, now is the time to start. The fourth element of being retirement readiness is focusing on travel, right? We hear this as a common goal, but we find it's more of an idea than there is actually a plan. We need to explore things like how long of a trip is right for us? How frequently do we want to make trips? Are we going to fly or drive? Are we going to do economy seats or premium? Because there are so many options, the price point can be really wide, and it's really important from a financial perspective that we think about this in great detail. Otherwise, we're going to have a big miss here. One big tip, organize and prioritize that bucket list, because there are certain things on our travel bucket list that we might not be able to do when we're older, and we have to prioritize those into our earlier years. The fifth element we're going to talk about is family time. And this is where we have to decide, are we going to make occasional visits to the kids and grandkids, or are we going to provide regular care maybe for mom and dad or the grandkids? Obviously, depending on the answers to these questions, these can interfere with our travel plans and our leisure plans. So it's really important to make sure our spouse is on the same page as us in these topics. Also focus on the financial assistance, maybe gifts and legacy intentions you have with your family. The key here, though, is ensure family harmony and make sure you talk to your kids about any of your plans to make sure they're on the same page. The sixth element of being retirement readiness focuses on health and wellness. And we got to appreciate that health and wellness really impacts all of those other elements we've talked to in the previous segments. It really impacts our leisure, where we can travel, what we can do and what we can't do, and maybe even where we live, right? So one big tip here is to really talk to our elders. It's hard to imagine what life will be like when we're in our 70s, 80s, or 90s. So it can help to talk with our elders and figure out what things they're limited by, and maybe allow you to prioritize your retirement dreams and get done things earlier that you really want that you might not be able to do later in life. The seventh and final element is financial. Now, we do not want to wait to do financial until we have clarity on all those other topics. We got to make good financial decisions along the way, right? But the key here is as we gain clarity in these 7 areas, we are going to get better financial plans and more accurate financial assessments. The goal here is to check the financial feasibility of those dreams and plans we have for retirement. And sometimes we have to appreciate we might need to rein it in a little bit, okay? So one big tip here is to clean up and organize our data, get ready for retirement financially so that when you have all those other dreams figured out, building the plan is easy.
MPPL Financial, providing answers to the most important questions of your lives.